One night in Mexico City gave us the loudest stadium a journalist with 13 World Cups under his belt had ever witnessed. A skull-fractured striker weeping after defying doctors to score for his nation, anti-government protests raging in the streets outside, and an opening ceremony that split the football world down the middle. This wasn't just Mexico versus South Africa, this was politics colliding with redemption, spectacle battling tradition, and 87,000 voices creating a psychological weapon that announced exactly what kind of chaos the 2026 World Cup was going to be. Jeff Powell has seen it all. 13 World Cups, every iconic moment from Maradona's hand of God to Zidane's headbutt. He stood in the Maracana when Brazil wept in 2014, he watched Russia's opening spectacle in 2018, and he covered every legendary atmosphere this sport has produced. After Mexico's opener against South Africa at the Estadio Azteca, he made a declaration that should terrify every team coming to North America this summer. This was the loudest he had ever experienced. Not just loud in decibels, but loud in intent. 87,000 Mexicans didn't just turn up to watch their team, they turned the stadium into a fortress. Every chant reverberated through the stands like thunder. Every goal chance produced a roar that felt physical. South Africa weren't just playing 11 men, they were fighting an entire nation that had waited years to host this tournament on home soil. The unique format of 2026 means Mexico, the United States, and Canada all get home advantage at different points. But if this opener was anything to go by, visiting teams aren't prepared for what's coming. This wasn't background noise, this was a weapon. But if you think the only story was inside that stadium, you weren't paying attention to what was happening outside. Mexico City was on edge. Anti-government protests had been building for weeks leading into the tournament, with demonstrators taking aim at President Claudia Sheinbaum's administration over everything from security concerns to economic inequality. The streets surrounding the Azteca became a battleground of banners, chants, and clashes with police. FIFA's grand spectacle was unfolding against a backdrop of genuine social unrest. Organizers had to navigate a delicate balance, keeping the focus on football while a nation wrestled with its identity. This is not unusual for World Cups. Major tournaments often become mirrors, reflecting a host country's deeper struggles. Brazil in 2014 saw widespread anger over spending on stadiums, while schools and hospitals crumbled. Russia in 2018 carried political baggage that never quite disappeared. Mexico in 2026 was no different. Inside the Azteca, it was celebration. Outside, revolution. The contrast was stark, uncomfortable, and absolutely part of the story. Before the first ball was even kicked, controversy erupted. Shakira headlined the opening ceremony, and the reaction was immediate and divisive. Purists groaned. Football fans from Australia and beyond took to social media, asking what a pop star had to do with the beautiful game. Others loved it, arguing that global tournaments deserve global entertainment. This debate is not new, but it is getting louder. FIFA has spent decades trying to turn opening ceremonies into Super Bowl-style extravaganzas, and every time they do, a section of the fan base pushes back. There is a fundamental tension in modern football between spectacle and authenticity. Do we want fireworks, A-list performers, and choreographed dance routines, or do we just want the match to start? The Shakira backlash captured that divide perfectly. For some, she represented everything wrong with football's commercialization. For others, she was exactly what a World Cup opener should be: big, bold, and impossible to ignore. Either way, it dominated the conversation before Mexico had even touched the ball. If you smash that like button and subscribe to Game Jam right now, you will stay locked into all the latest World Cup 2026 coverage, football news, and analysis as this tournament continues to deliver chaos. Then came the moment that transcended tactics, formations, and match analysis. Raúl Jiménez scored for Mexico, and the camera caught him in tears. At 35 years old, Wearing the protective headband that has become his signature, he stood there sobbing while his teammates mobbed him. To understand why requires going back to November 2020. Arsenal versus Wolves. A clash of heads with David Luiz that fractured Jimenez's skull. The images were horrific. The diagnosis even worse. Doctors told him his career might be over. Months of uncertainty followed. Surgery, recovery, the mental battle of wondering if he would ever play again, let alone at the highest level. He came back, but he was never the same player at club level. The explosiveness had dulled. The confidence seemed fragile. Many thought his World Cup days were behind him. Then Mexico named him in the squad. Then they started him in the opener. Then he scored. That goal was not just 3 points, it was vindication. It was proof that the human spirit can outlast medical prognosis. It was a middle finger to everyone who wrote him off. The tears were not just emotion, they were years of pain, doubt, and defiance pouring out in one unguarded moment. The actual football almost became secondary, but it mattered. Mexico approached the game with intensity that matched the crowd. Their setup was aggressive, pressing South Africa high and refusing to let them settle. The visitors had come with a game plan to absorb pressure and hit on the counter, but the hostile environment made execution nearly impossible. You could see it in their body language. Every misplaced pass was met with a deafening jeer. Every Mexican attack felt like it carried the weight of inevitability. When Jimenez scored, the dynamic shifted entirely. South Africa had to chase the game, which played directly into Mexico's hands. The broader implications for the group are significant. Mexico's realistic chances of progressing just skyrocketed, not because of tactical brilliance, but because of what playing at the Azteca does to opposition teams. Pundits are divided on whether this performance signals genuine tournament contention or just home field adrenaline. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. Mexico have quality, but they also have something far more dangerous right now: momentum wrapped in raw emotion. The global reaction was instantaneous. Social media exploded with clips of the atmosphere, Jimenez's tears, and debates over whether this was the greatest World Cup opener ever. The BBC experimented with a new tactical viewing experience during the match, trying to offer fans deeper analysis in real time. Comparisons flooded in. Brazil's humiliation against Germany in 2014, Russia's dominant opening in 2018, Mexico in 2026 was already being framed as the narrative of the tournament's first week. What it did was send a message to every elite team still to play. England, France, Argentina, they are all watching and realizing this will not be a sterile, controlled environment. This is going to be loud, chaotic, and emotionally charged. The psychological impact of seeing what a home nation can generate is real. Managers will be adjusting their preparation. Players will be bracing for hostility. Mexico did not just win a football match, they set the tone for what 2026 is going to feel like. So what does this all mean as the tournament unfolds? It means the identity of this World Cup is already being shaped by atmosphere, not tactics. The unique three-host nation format creates multiple home advantages that will ripple through the competition. Mexico's opener was a warning shot to European giants who thought they could stroll into North America and impose their usual dominance. It won't be that simple. Political and social context will continue to influence matches, whether we acknowledge it or not. And the Jimenez story has set the template for emotional narratives that will define this tournament far more than any tactical innovation. Moments like these are what make World Cups unforgettable. Not the perfect pass or the flawless system, but the human stories that football allows us to witness. One night gave us record-breaking noise, political tension, celebrity controversy, and a tearful comeback that had grown men weeping in the stands. The tournament announced itself not through slick football or tactical mastery, but through raw, unfiltered emotion. If this is just the opener, imagine what chaos awaits when the stakes get higher in the knockout rounds. Mexico didn't just open the World Cup, they set the standard for what 2026 will be remembered for. And every team left in this competition just realized they're not just playing football, they're walking into a storm.